Ilikhal, as Yosin reaches out and places his hand on your arm to steady you from taking off after the wolves, he says, "A moment." And his breath is high, and he is in action mode as well. He says, "A moment before you go chasing after. The wolves are obviously coming from the North Wood, and the North Wood is very dangerous." He goes to tell you, in a few words, I will not voice all of them, that the Northwood is very wilderness-y. It is wild. The city, no matter how often rangers cut back the wood or foresters come and attempt to calm the wood to some extent, it always grows back more and more wild. There are a few paths and things in which it is possible to travel, but it is it is impossible to tame and has been since the existence of the city. In fact, according to the history of the town of Melt, the Northwood, the fact that the town was able to settle and trim back the wood as far as they were able to is incredibly uh, a feat of humanity and civilization. It's the reason why there is a Temple of Arathis here, is that the existence of the city of Melt itself is a triumph of civilization. Yosin goes on to tell you the wolves have been terrible this winter. They've there's been either a pack has moved in, or maybe perhaps some have matured more so than usual, but it seems they're making more trouble this year than any year since I have been here my entire life. It is almost as if something is driving them to act this way. So as you travel into the wood, please be careful. We've lost adventurers recently. There is also a reward for any proof of a slain wolf. He gestures to the one laying on the ground near you. He said, "Actually, I have a notice in the in the tavern in the meat and mead. By request of the mirror, any wolf slain, if you bring the left front paw as proof of cull, the mirror himself will pay 3 crowns, 3 gold pieces." Many have taken this as easy task, but at least 3 have not returned from it, and none have returned with proof of cull that have returned. As you are all there listening. Alfonz, you have left the center of the octagon, the battle royale ring. Pilot, you are nearby. You hear this as well. You do notice, Alfonz, you notice how distraught Molly is that Amanda has been carried off. She is like she's in this mix of fear and anger and upset. She's crying, but it's not in like sadness and grief. It's that like angry cry where you can't you feel like this is something you can't do. She's like looking around, she's trying to think of what is the next thing she can do to help her little sister. Her mother, Lara, is much more distraught, but in an anger way. She is like actively looking for a weapon, and looks like she's about to take off after the wolves themselves. Ilikhal, you notice Dart and Susie, the matriarch and patriarch of the troop, are Susie's absolutely broken, and Dart is digging through. You can see Dart heading to the wagon, and he appears to be going for his sword as well. And Pilot, you notice these 2 women on the southeast side of the square, near the meat and mead, one who appeared to be knocked over by the wolf, and the other attempting to like check her for injuries. They appear to be in a bit of a panic themselves as well. Of
Yeah,
course,
I'm gonna go over to
everyone is
Dart and Susie.
a little. Yes. Okay. You go to Dart and Susie. Susie is her like on the ground on her knees, like, "My son, what Dart, she's Dot, help. Dart, no, you can't go after them. You don't know this land like others do. And Dart is in the like he is stepping up to the back of their like wagon, and you can tell he's like moving stuff out of the way to grab. You've seen him carry it as driven. It is a rapier. It's a little well worn. It's a mix of gaudy but practical. Like it looks like it was potentially once a minor noble's rapier that was never used. It's got like a few places where there are a couple jewels on the hilt, and a few places where there are no longer jewels on the hilt. Uh, that have either been pawned or fell off, or were never really jewels, or they broke. But it's in a scabbard that is worn, and you have seen him draw it against at least one potential threat.
Susie, D'Artagnan, I'm so sorry. I promise I will do everything I can to get Faust back.
Susie, she looks up and she says, Ilikhal, thank you so much. I don't know what I will do, what I could do without my boy. He is such an answer to our prayers, and can I can't like she just kind of breaks down like and falls down and has like a bit of a not a fit, but it's just like broken by this event that has just occurred. To have her only child swiftly taken in a moment, it seems like she was in shock and panicking, and now she's coming out of shock, and it's just kind of completely breaking her for the moment. Dart is reaching in. You can see him grab the sword, and he's strapping on. He's like, I swear, I will, Susie, I will be right back. I will absolutely get him back.
Dart, no. Dart, I will take care of this. You're not used to this kind of work. Don't worry, Dart.
And you see him. He's not old yet, but he's approaching it. He looks up at you and he says, and it's in this moment like you see his age a lot, and he's tense, and he releases a little bit, and he goes, Ilikhal, please, I can't ask this of you as an employee. You
are not asking. I am offering.
And he shakes his head. He goes, okay, we will help with everyone here, and we will help calm the crowd. Please bring back my son. And like you see that like that took a lot.
Ilikhal nods and gives him like awkward consoling pats on the shoulder.
He shakes his head, and like immediately the player's face takes over. You see he wipes his brow as if he was sweating, but you can tell there was one angry tear that he managed to completely get rid of. He looks up at the sun for a moment, and his eyes dry, and immediately starts going to work. He goes over to Susie, and he starts talking to her. He barks orders at the rest of the troop to start to do crowd control to gain some sort of order. It's not the first time the troop has dealt with an unruly crowd, but usually they're unruly with the troop, not just with life. And the troop goes to work trying to calm and console and get people under order. Much the same, you see a group of the Rangers doing the same thing. It seems that Yosin has asked for the same thing. Do either of the other two of you do you pursue any of the other members of the crowd?
Yeah, Alfonz is over with Molly and Lara, and he just, in kind of like a comforting but stern voice, he says, "Do not let anger and sadness define who you are. It's in these moments, in action, where we define the true character. Molly, Although I am not strong, although I may not be suited to this task, I swear to you that little Amanda will be returned to you. If it is by me or by a companion, I swear to you this.
Molly looks up at you. She rises to her feet, and you see her tense, and she clenches her fists, and she says, I that is my little sister. And make a perception check.
Ooh. That is a natural 1 plus 2.
Okay, that's all we needed.
He's pretty sure Molly is a person.
Molly is definitely a person. She's definitely upset. And she says, and I'm near about on my way to go get her myself. But I think you might be a little more capable. And Lara has found behind them on a table, she has found a carving knife, and is like, she is, for a woman who is definitely of income, she's wearing nice clothing. The Argent family has done well. She's looking like she's about to wield that knife fairly capably. And as she, Lara has grabbed the knife, has nothing else, and looks like she's about to run off. Molly turns around and goes, "Mother," and she grabs her by the shoulders. "Mother, please." Alfonz, and it appears some others are about to go and get Amanda back. We need to do our duty as members of this community. We need to help the crowd and help those who have been injured. Put the knife down. And in this moment, Molly is the leader of the Argent family. Probably for the first time in her life. Lara is angry tears, just eyes completely red. She drops the knife. And she says, "When did I raise such a wise daughter?" And she goes, "All right, come now. There are those who are injured. We need to do this." And she immediately steps over and she starts tearing up the tablecloths to make bandages and things. And she goes, "And those who come back are going to be injured as well, almost certainly. Let us begin." And action is starting to be taken. Pilot, you, Ronald, would you like to do anything? I should ask first before I describe what you see.
I would like to go to the owners of the Meat and Mead.
Okay, yes. Just outside, they are standing there. They have actually walked over to the couple who had their child taken. The two female couple. So Kosh and Krista are now, they are starting to assist with the one woman who appeared to have been knocked over. The other woman who appeared to be who is helping her. They are now accompanying those two.
Can I hand over 3 gold pieces to the owners and say, please take care of these 2 women. Please help them a little bit if this is enough to clear their grieving time.
Kosh accepts the gold pieces, and he kind of looks at you strangely. He's the first person to actually, hold on. Let's see. Yeah. Kosh appears to be the first person to not see through your disguise, but definitely takes note of that you're different. He seems a little stunned, and he goes, "Yeah, we're helping them. Thank you. I don't believe we've met. But yeah, thank you."
if I take notice of that.
Of him noticing you? Noticing?
Yeah.
Make a perception check. Or an
Uh,
insight check. I guess technically it would be insight.
That's a 8.
He seems just as distraught as anyone would be in this situation where festival was interrupted by a random wolf attack in the middle of a town in like civilization. So make of that what you will. Not potentially nothing more than that do you glean from him.
Yeah, and then I walk back to Ilikhal and Alfonz, or to where we were before we dispersed.
Okay. Alfonz, Ilikhal, do you group up as well?
Yeah, Alfonz is heading over to Ronald at least, and he says, "My friend."
Yeah, I'm gonna head back to them as well.
And I kind of noticed that Ilikhal is coming over as well, and I'm like, "Oh, good, you're here as well."
I just give him a look.
I just say,
Make of that what you will.
I kind of acknowledge it, and I brush it off. He gets a lot of those looks, and he just says, "Now I know I don't look it, but in my heart, I know that action is needed. I know that I can't do this myself, and you have both proven yourself capable warriors. I want to assist where I can, if you'll have me."
Sure. I was planning on going after the wolves. I would appreciate any help, even from two individuals as strange as yourselves.
Just nod.
Little. Haven't put the beeswax on today. Just slight noise, slight metallic. So you all know you are going to need to head north. That is, there is a road out of town to the north. As you begin to leave the square, one more
Before we
perception
do
check.
that,
Yes, before so. Yes.
I would like to give the wolf body to the mirror to see if we can get the reward for that, and maybe kind of suit up before we leave.
Yeah. So you picking up a wolf. A wolf is pretty big, but you're really big. So it's like a normal person picking up a dog. You just kind of flop it over your shoulder, and you walk over to the mirror, who is not prepared for this at all.
I just kind of like hold it out to him. I don't say anything.
I kind of nudge Ilikhal, and I'm just like, "All you need is the paw." I just kind of want to see him like swipe it off the wall.
Hold it up to him, and the mirror Albrecht, who was and still technically is fairly drunk, red in the face, looks at you holding just a wolf out to him, says, and he just reaches into a pouch at his pocket and holds up 3 gold pieces. Thank you for your service to the town.
I take them and I just put the wolf down at his feet.
He looks at like you flop it, and he goes, ah! Like the motion of it dropping the extra foot to the ground, like, and it like kicks out a paw a little bit as it falls. Like he, like it just panics a bit. Thank you. Great job.
Yeah, I regroup with the two and I hand them each a gold coin.
You each have 1 more gold coin. You each have a crown. Alfonz, you note that these gold pieces look different than the gold pieces you have.
I hand it back to Ilikhal, and I'm like, I did nothing in this situation. You keep it.
Oh my god, thank you. I didn't want to say it, but
Ilikhal still a little salty about the battle royale.
I do give like the coin a once over, just to kind of gleam that it is a different currency, and yeah.
Yeah, it appears to have on one side it's a male's face, on the other side is a hand with like a lightning bolt in the center of it. So it's not a heads and tails, it's a heads and hands, if you will. The face side also has it's a face with a crown. It's a head with a crown. You said gear up as necessary. Is there any sort of gearing up that you feel necessary? Also, let me get 3 more perception checks, one from each of you,
All right.
while you were doing such gearing up.
There is gear I would like, but I have to see if I can afford it.
Okay.
I've got an 8.
Okay.
I've got a 17 on the perception check.
Okay.
I got 13.
Okay, Ilikhal and Pilot notice this. As you three, I guess, are wolfing and then divvying up a little bit of a reward. You notice Yosin and the young ranger arguing just on the west side of the square, which is just to your right somewhat, maybe 50 feet away. The young ranger looks like he has gotten completely geared up in this amount of time. Like, instead of helping with crowd control and injuries, it looks like he had gone immediately into the ranger's rest and donned leather armor and a bow. And he is like fervently arguing with Yosin, who appears to like be stopping him and preventing him from leaving. And like Yosin is gesturing at the like crowd and the little bit of like insanity still going on. And there's this like pointing, and he's you can catch like you young, potentially bastard at some point. Like it's getting a little insulting. Stone, the young man, is getting red in the face, and he says, "Job going, stop me." Those are the things you could kind of see and gleam amongst all of the crowd noise and everything, while everyone is while the players and the other rangers are attempting to stop each other, like to calm and crowd control and everything. You notice that before you attempt to gear up to whatever extent you do.
I think I'm gonna head over there purely because I saw someone else gearing up, which implies there is gear there.
Okay. As you approach, like you start to hear like, no, the Stone, you cannot stop me. I am going after them. Those are my friends and my friends' children, and this is what we are here for. And Yosin you hear him say, "No, you cannot. We have a job to do here. This is not what we are meant to do as Rangers of Melt. You know, you cannot go and risk your life in this way. Losing another ranger is not my prerogative for the day."
Friends.
They both kind of look at, they both like this is male ego at its best. Old and young butting heads, and they both turn to you. And if you were human-sized, you would be getting in on a fight that you would get an earful. But since you are such a presence, they both like, what?
Myself and some acquaintances, we believe we should be more than capable of dealing with this wolf problem, of returning the children. I ask that you rangers stay here, protect the town should more wolves return. All I ask in return is some armor.
Yosin looks at you and he says, "I don't know if we can outfit you, but let us see what we have." And he invites you over to the Ranger's Rest. Stone, you see him look over at the direction of the Argent family, and he appears. You notice that look. He looks that way. He is about Molly's age. You can tell potentially. And like he sighs. Okay, yeah, We'll help. Come on. And he also guides you back to the Ranger's Rest. Just inside of the Ranger's Rest is a common area. And right off of that common area, there's a room that they lead you to immediately that has... It's almost like a fire house where firefighters live. It is that, like, right inside that, like, first room, there's some armor, there are some basic weapons. This is where the bows for the archery contest came from. You can see there's a rack of bows ready to go. There are a few swords, a couple like well kept weapons. It's a minor armory, potentially enough to arm and armor 20, maybe 25 people. It doesn't, from what you could tell, there aren't that many rangers here, but it all appears to be taken care of. And there is some leather armor, and they go in, and you follow, you duck the door frame, and you start rifling through the different pieces of armor, and they manage to assemble piecemeal, but what would be considered a set of leather armor for someone your size. It's through a little bit of mismatching, like to give you like a pauldron. Is that what's on your shoulder? Like a little bit of shoulder armor, something across your midsection. Nothing that can actively like completely cover and enwrap your chest and shoulders, but they are able to piece together portions that would give you cover such that leather armor would.
I just kind of look it over and I go, I'm good, thank you. I appreciate it, but I thanks.
They're like, this is what we got. If that is, or unless you're looking for something a little less.
My AC in that would be lower than it currently is.
That is what
Yep.
they have. Yeah.
All right, cool. That was a dead end. Yeah, so I'm just gonna say that thank you for the offer. Please protect the town.
They also offer pick of like a sword, like they have a couple long swords, a couple short swords, bow, arrow, in case you wish to take those.
I might take bow and arrow.
Okay, you get a longbow and a quiver of 20 arrows.
All right.
It might be alone. They didn't really say that. They said take it. They're like, you're going to get the kids. We don't care. You could die. Then we'd lose out on it, but it's fine.
All right, and I'll head back outside to Pilot and Alfonz.
Is there a potion shop in town?
There is not. There is an herbalist and apothecary.
Okay.
An herbalist or apothecary, they can make some basic. So that's probably where the healing potions that you got came from. You could see if the owner is there, if you wished.
Yeah, I head over there real quick.
You knock on the door. It appears someone is scurrying around inside. No one answers it, but as you open the door, there is a individual, elder, not quite elderly, but older human woman, like scurrying around and like collecting different like herbs and things. Looks like she's putting together like a quick med bag type thing, potentially for anyone that got injured when the wolves came through. She kind of looks back at you and she goes, "Whoa, what can I do for you really quick?" A little busy.
My good madam, myself and my compatriots are headed out to find and seek of the children, and I was wondering if you had any potions on hand that may benefit us.
She goes, "Yes," and she like steps behind the counter, and there's set of cabinets behind the counter, and she like pulls it open really quick, and she like reaches in and she sets down 2 health potions. She goes, "This is what I have. I had 5, but the mirror bought 3. These are the 2 that I have."
Well, you're in good fortune. I did win the 3. How much for these?
Great. These 50 gold apiece.
Whew.
Usually. And as you appear to be going after the children, 40 I can do.
I stifle back a cough.
I kind of look back at Ilikhal and I'm like, is that a good deal?
I hope not.
I check.
Insight check. Go for it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that is a
I got a 19.
I
19?
also got a 19 plus 4.
19 plus 4. Very good. Yeah, she yeah, she does not seem to be deceptive at all. 50 gold. The way she said 50 gold like is what they normally are, but like you look like you're on a mission. 40 is what I can do. You might be able to talk her down like a couple more gold for each. If you ask like nicely, potentially. That it kind of looked like 50 gold is probably what the price tag usually is.
Mm-hmm.
Is the way I said. And then she just kind of knocked that down. Is what vibe you're getting off of her, what you're both getting.
These may be better suited to healing the wounded. Thank you for your time. I can't afford that.
Nice. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
I mean, you can.
I mean, I can, but Alfonz ain't stupid.
Yeah, she goes, great. And she puts him in her bag and she goes, now out. And
All
she
right.
starts, she's like Alfonz like reacts quickly. She is like leaning into Ilikhal, like pushing come on. Big guy. All right. Out. And as you two leave, she locks the door and she's off back to the square to do what she can.
All right. So I kind of turn to them and I say, they mentioned that these wolves are from the north. That's a good place to start. However, I did notice that one of the wolves was running east out of town. We may be able to pick up its trail over there.
Are either of you proficient in tracking?
Are you?
It is survival is the
I
state you're
am.
looking for. So yeah, you have 4 options out of town. There is actually technically no exit to town to the west. There is a northern exit, a southern exit, and an eastern exit. So there are 3 ways to go. One wolf went east, 2 wolves went north.
It sounds like the wolves. We heard the wolves to the north.
And you did hear the wolves to the north.
So I say we pick up the tracks to the north along the way.
After you.
All right. If we are in concordance, you head north out of town, past the few businesses that are just to the north of the square. Those being the fur trapper. You can see just on the northeastern side of the square, the temple on the northeastern side of the square, and the sulfur and soil, rare plants and herbs. You notice the sign as you walk by. As you leave town, the cobbled street quickly turns to dirt, and you approach a large wood. There is a path into the wood. Ilikhal, make a survival check. If any of you, feel free to make a survival. But I assume we were if you would like to assist Ilikhal can make it with advantage.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I'm a 3 plus 2.
Okay, so you decided to roll separately instead of assist.
Great. I rolled a 6, so.
Okay. Guess what? Wolf tracks, when 2 large wolves carrying small children into a wood in a fairly damp environment, they leave some pretty big tracks. You notice
I got a 9 total.
There are wolf tracks heading into the wood. There are also wolf tracks leaving the wood. You're headed in the right direction going north. That is what you managed to pick up with a 9, but there are wolf tracks leading into the wood. They appear to be slightly deeper going in than coming out, as if they had a burden.
Okay, I guess we follow the tracks we can see then.
All right. As you step into the wood, immediately becomes more shady. They see. What you also notice is the wood is a mix of evergreens and seasonal, deciduous, whatever regular trees are. But the trees of the wood are starting to show signs of spring. You can see sprouts among the trees. You can see seedlings starting to peek out of the ground, and it's a lot more green here. Ilikhal, you notice than in your travels to the south and east. Pilot, it is a lot more green here than where you came from further north. Alfonz, it is more green in this wood than the road up to Melt. You all are aware of that. As you travel into the wood, the trail goes from path to trail very quickly. It appears like as you first entered the wood, it looked like potentially someone had been through with a machete, and that gives up to wildness fairly quickly. Within 100 meters of entering the wood, you can still follow the trail. You can still see minor tracks of wolf. You can see where a branch is broken here. A little further into the wood, you find a scrap of potentially an article of clothing. After about 15 minutes, you hear, or you find like a shoe, just one shoe. It appears to be just a simple leather shoe. It doesn't appear like overly effeminate at all.
Is it small?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is a child's shoe. It is not just some random person's shoe.
Just making sure.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you for asking. Yes, no, it is a right shoe, actually, since you're taking a good look at it. It's a
Good to
child's
know.
right shoe. And you can kind of see what you were told about how Melt really must be actively fighting the attempt of Wilderness to take over.
Alfonz pockets the shoe for later.
Okay.
For
Sounds
no
like
reason.
you're gonna eat it.
I hate that.
Just for later. I want that shoe. Nice, just in case.
I understand the intention, but
How are you traveling through the wood? Are you traveling like slow and intentionally, attempting to not? I use the word sneak. I'm going to use the word sneak. There's an element of stealth in the way that you go, which is going to be a little slower. Must be slower by definition, as you are traveling through the trees. You don't want to snap like tree branches everywhere. Are you going at a moderate pace, which is making progress, but not overly quickly? Or are you intently pushing, which is going to make a little more noise, and but you will make time. You will be faster, but you will potentially you could potentially miss a sign of a track. You could potentially
yeah, I'm imagining
pull
we're
your
going.
ankle.
Yeah, I'm imagining we're going slower because we are tracking.
Yeah, not very proficient at it either. So
Yeah.
I would like to stealth.
Okay. If you were, I will actually ask for stealth checks from the three of you in that
Okay.
case.
Okay.
All right, I'm not using this dice today. It's not hurting me well. 11.
6.
6.
11, 6, and 6.
26.
26.
Oh,
Okay,
All right.
much significantly
yeah.
better.
Pilot is a rogue.
Yeah, and Alfonz can't help but kind of like hum to himself when he's traveling.
Yeah, Alfonz, you are.
I understand the urgency,
you're
but
not crunching. Like you're walking fine. Like you're not like very like heavily bound down or anything. But you do kind of get like a little bit of like a wood song stuck in your head.
I'm just
You're
really
an
big.
adventurer.
Through the woods, yeah. Ilikhal, this is woods. You're big. You're used to mountains and boulders and snow. That is your home. That kind of stealth all day. Yeah, you'll hide behind a big rock easy.
I look like a big rock.
You look like a big rock. Step on a twig, crunch. That's your footstep. Big crunch every time. Twigs and leaves and everything. Pilot, you two actually have to actively think of where Pilot is. It is Pilot. They are in their element. They move. You've noticed they move a little unnaturally as is. Pilot, even in their movements through the wood, you notice that they take like steps forward and then kind of flow backward as the wind rustles the trees. They're even moving with the breeze a little bit, with the shadows as the light filters through from above. Pilot's hood is up, Pilot's cloak is around. You notice that it's very tattered and everything, but it is very good camouflage. There are articles of wood, like of trees and things. Like it looks like there are leaves on it. It looks like there are branches. And Pilot, for all intents and purposes, is pretty well hidden. Another 10 minutes you travel through. Ilikhal, I'm going to ask for another survival check. Or another survival check from the group, however, if you wish to offer.
Okay. I switched dice.
Or
18.
Okay. Would another person like to roll as well?
I got a 15.
Okay. Ilikhal, you recall memory of timber wolves and snow wolves and the white wolf of the high mountains, and you're clicking back in. You're out of bandit fight mode and into predator track mode, and you're starting to see more of the signs. Alfonz, you're noticing a few of these as well. Perhaps not as many, but you're starting to notice mistakes that predators make as they're carrying off prey. They're less lethal. They're more like, hey, got the prize, let's go. You notice a few more broken branches and twigs. You notice a few tufts of fur here and there, and you're starting to pick up the pace significantly better. You actually notice you have started to veer in a direction that a predator wouldn't go. It's starting to go downhill. It looks like it's headed towards potentially a stream or gully. You think, no, that doesn't make sense. They wouldn't even head that way. Predator is going to be looking to travel home. Maybe we're going to be looking for a wolf den or somewhere where this predator would feel safe. And running water will attract all kinds of other animals. They're not going to be there. And you guide the party more in the correct direction. You start noticing more signs. You start to pass a deer trail where apparently many deer have walked through, and you all hear a noise. You hear ruffling in the trees. You hear minor noises. You hear a lot of things. You notice the sounds of birds and other animals starting to flee the area, and you hear two low growls. And you notice ahead of you two wolves. One brown and fairly large, and one kind of mixture of black and white. And they're staring you down, and they're both like hunched low, teeth bared. I need you three to roll initiative.
Can I make a perception check?
Yes.
Just to see, like, check out their den, see if I can see the kids anywhere. I probably don't see anything. I got a 7.
You got a 7? You do not notice anything other than the wolves themselves.
All right.
I kind of want to make a perception check too, if that's all right.
Okay, absolutely. Feel free.
2. Never mind.
You also do not notice anything other than the wolves. We are immediately thinking threat.
All right, and I rolled an 8 for initiative.
Okay.
I got an 18 for initiative.
I got a 17 for initiative.
17. Wolves need initiative. Here, somebody had an 8.
Yeah, that was me.
What is your bonus to initiative?
Okay,
Yes.
so plus 1, so 9. Sorry about that.
Okay, that resolves that issue. The wolves will be going last. So we have Ilikhal on 18. Ilikhal. We have Pilot on 17. We have Alfonz on 9. And we have wolves, 2 wolves on 8. They will move together with minis. We're going to say they are 10, 20 feet, 30 feet away total from the three of you. How are you arranged? How are we I assume Ilikhal is slightly forward.
What does the area look like that we're in? I know it's a forest, but
basic woods, not rough terrain or anything. That's why there isn't necessarily a battle map. it is just kind of base woods. There is a small deer trail that kind of passes through this area that's just a little more clear. Some moderate sized trees and things, but nothing that's going to necessarily impede combat.
Okay.
It is Pilot. Are you like, give me like a general. Is that good?
To Ilikhal, but like maybe a step back, so just in the diagonal corner.
Like there?
Yeah. Or yeah.
Or somewhere in this general area? 10, 20, 30. You're 35 feet away here. I'm going to make you 30 feet. That way you can make the run to them if you want to.
My speed is actually 35 feet.
Do you want to be exactly 35 then?
Sure.
There you go. Alfonz, I'm going to put you right next to Ilikhal.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Pilot, consider yourself hidden. You don't need to take the hide action for this bit.
Okay.
Ilikhal, you are up first on 18.
Right. No surprise, I'm going to immediately charge at the wolves, attack the one on the right with my greatsword.
This one?
Yeah. 16.
16 will hit.
Alrighty. Alright, 12 damage.
Damn. Wolf 1 is off the table. Ilikhal, without a rage, without
Sounds about right.
prep,
Nice.
sees threat, acts on threat, charges Wolf 1, and with a sweep of the greatsword that Ilikhal carries, just directly into the wolf. The wolf tries to jump out of the way, and you just bury your sword in the wolf, and it, with a slight yelp, unconscious and dead. All at once. The wolf did not suffer a moment.
All right.
Pilot, you're up.
How far is the second wolf away from me? Is it still considered 30 feet
It will
or
be
35?
still considered 35 feet because it is. Fun fact about D&D, it is nonlinear geometry. So it is the furthest distance horizontally or vertically. So it is exactly 35 feet away. To where you can get within melee range, I should say.
Is Ilikhal within 5 feet of the other wolf?
Ilikhal is not within 5 feet. Ilikhal is within 10 feet.
So I get right up to the wolf as much as possible.
You can get directly in front of it.
And I would like to...
Either of these, I should say.
I would like to use my rapier against the wolf.
Okay, roll to attack.
That is a 17.
That hits. Roll damage.
That is an 11.
11 damage is exactly as many hit points as a wolf has.
Come on, let me do something.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's really good.
With inhuman quickness and inhuman silence, Pilot dashes across your vision. In one moment, Pilot is in your periphery, and the next moment, Pilot is in front of you. In one quick motion, draws their rapier and directly lunges straight into the wolf's throat. And the wolf slumps dead. Like that.
I would like to take the wolf's left paw.
Immediately you draw a dagger and quickly dispatch of the wolf's paw.
Yeah, I see them doing that, and I remember, and I do the same with mine.
Ilikhal, similarly.
I pocket my wand and start heading towards them. Like,
Alfonz?
well struck.
I just know.
Alfonz still not getting a taste of real combat. Wand away. Mr. Alfonz. Alfonz
Nice
did have
job,
wand ready.
Alfonz.
2 wolves dead. There is no sight of a wolf's den in the immediate area, but as you look around, you do hear a bit of a commotion slightly to the north. Maybe 600 feet. 900 feet, a football field or so, an American football field.
All right, head that way, I guess.
Hmm.
You begin to head that way. With stealth, with stealth.
I feel
Question
like we're kind of like in battle mode, so maybe we kind of
Yeah.
lessen our hesitance and just kind of speed towards it.
As you,
I would agree. Yeah.
As you travel to the north, you begin to notice a clearing. And as you approach this clearing, sun is brightly shining through. Approach there, it appears like there is a doorway into this clearing. There are two large oak trees that seem to intertwine their branches up above, as if it was a doorway. As you approach this, you have to shield your eyes against the sun a little bit. It is a perfect grove or clearing in the woods. And what you see before you, spread out in front of you, is a clearing. It is almost as if a slight field. In front of you, you see some pools of water. There appear to be 3 pools. A few trees in the clearing, but they decorate the clearing more than make it more woods. Is a large circular clearing. Across the clearing from you, you see a few stones that appear to have an entrance downward. But the major thing you notice in this clearing is directly in the center, on 3 small tree stumps, sit 3 children. And in front of these 3 children are 4 winged individuals. And many, they appear to be firefly-esque. Little, small, winged things around them. They appear to be diminutive in size. On your left-hand side, they are blue and white, twinkling. On the right-hand side, they're yellow and green. And the 4 individuals, the 4 larger winged individuals, just slightly smaller than children themselves, appear to be in a nasty argument. As you approach these trees and you step into the clearing, there appears to be 1 male and 1 female of each, and they're bickering. You can't quite hear them now, but there is a lot of hand waving and very like electric movement. They're floating up and floating down, and there's finger pointing and gesturing, and the 2 males appear to like almost be at blows with one another, and you see them gesturing to the children and then pointing at one another, and that is what you walk into the clearing to.
Like to sneak
Okay. Roll
to
for
the
stealth.
children.
You will have to. They are in the center of what appears to be 60 feet across and 100 feet in width. I guess just say directly across is 60 feet. And then the glade appears to be 100 feet, 50 to your left, 50 to your right if you're entering directly in the center, which you are. To sneak up to the children would require you to either approach head on, or you're going to have to travel a fairly great distance over open ground to sneak up to them. It's not impossible. Improbable. But if you wish to take that chance, you may. But the second you step fully into the clearing, you're pretty in sight, unless you can do something with about a 1 in 20 chance.
I think I reach out and grab Ronald on the shoulder and just say,
Actually
"Wait a
got a
minute."
natural 20.
Try to you reach out to grab Ronald on the shoulder.
Well then,
that is a tree. You reach out and you touch a tree, and that is not Ronald.
gone.
And Ronald around the side and from the west sneaks into the clearing, and you do manage to kind of you guys you two see Ronald approach from your left, the west, and sneak out into this clearing. And the people, they're Fae. You know what Fae are. The Fae appear to continually still be bickering and pointing back at the children and pointing to one another. And it just appears that they are so engulfed in the argument. Ronald, you start to pick up on the argument because you've gotten very close. You are actually within like 15 feet of them as you get up to the children.
On that note, they speak Sylvan. Is that correct?
They are indeed arguing in Sylvan.
I speak Sylvan. Just throwing that out there.
You're just far enough away where it's like every fifth word you hear the word judges. you hear it's a little unkind. The lighter colored ones, the ones dressed in more greens and browns, one of the male one, you hear he points at the other one, you hear icy prick. The effeminate one on the other side says, let them decide. And there's it's a mixture of distance and translation trying to do so at the same time that you can't really pick up much of the other argument. They are effectively 30 feet away.
Okay.
So it's a little difficult to hear what they're saying. Pilot, you hear Faye arguing. You do hear the words Faust. You hear the names of the three children that you have heard before. You hear them come up in the arguments before. You hear a word that sounds kind of like the Elvish word for spring. You've heard that before, but it's not quite. It's like Elvish, and which you have heard and you know a little bit of, if you do not perfectly speak Elvish. Elvish and Sylvan is like Portuguese and Spanish. Some of the things are the same, but like not all Romance languages kind of sound exactly the same. But you hear a few words that you might be able to pick up as like spring, seasons, to some insults apparently. And you can kind of pick up on that in their behavior. And you hear the children's names and decide potentially. You're able to approach the children. Will the children notice? No. You make it up to the children without the children noticing. They are the three of them. Faust, Amanda, and Edwin is his name. Faust is the oldest, and he is about 6-ish. He appears to he is the one dressed more like a player. He has a lot more color in his clothing than the other two. Amanda, the Argent child, the only female, is wearing like a blue dress with a little like trimmed in silver. And she is the same like white blonde hair that the other members of the Argent family have. She appears to be arguing with Faust. Faust is so confident that he knows what's going on. He's like, they want us to make a decision for them. They know that we have to make decisions as the denizens of this realm. And Amanda's like, they kidnapped us. What are you talking about? And Edwin, who appears to be the youngest, is just like barely holding it together. Like he's like a little bit younger than Amanda and is like, why? I don't want to be here. And he is like on the verge of tears, but he's trying to be like, there's an older boy and a girl whom he knows. He's just trying to like not be a baby is kind of like what appears to be going through his mind. And as you approach, they don't really notice until you're like 5 feet away.
So they know I'm there now. Or kind of not really.
You need to make yourself known when you are within person range.
I would like to sneak behind Edwin, little stump and
Okay.
quickly sneak my hand around to cover his mouth.
Okay, Edwin is like, he's like
And then I say, do not make a sound. I'm here to save you. I'm sent by your parents.
nods into your hand.
And then I quickly untie his restraints.
He's actually not restrained. None of
Oh,
them are.
none of them.
That is, yeah. They're all actually just kind of. They're kind of sitting there. He's like, and he looks back at you. He's like, whoa, like he gives you, mom's that you?
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. Guys. Like he's just trying to do.
No, and then
the other two are.
I turn his face back forward, and I'm like, nope.
Like,
And I'm like, you're gonna be safe. It's fine. You are going to be okay.
like he vocalizes, but behind
Yeah.
your hand. The other two, they're all within like 15 feet. They're sitting on 3 tree stumps together that appear to be. It's almost as if they were chairs. 3 tree stumps, and the other two are still bickering, and they take notice of you as well. As they take notice of you, you manage to get out into the center of the clearing. There isn't anywhere to hide. As the other 2 children take notice of you, the 4 Fae and the other minor Fae take notice. They go, "Hey, who are you?" The 2 males are closest, and the 2 females are just beside them. And they go, "Now you can't be here." Is one of them is, "These 3 have business." And those are the two men. Male men is interesting. They look like children.
I think at that point, Alfonz steps in and is like, "These 3 are children."
They look back towards the entrance of the glaive sword. The entrance of the glade, but the 2 effeminate ones, like both, they're for individuals that were arguing. Man, do they behave very similarly. And it's kind of weird. They're very juxtaposed. Like the one effeminate one is in these blacks and blues and whites, and the other is in these greens and browns and yellows and these bright colors and dark colors, back and forth. And they both, the other 2, the female, look at you. And they kind of together go, "And who are you? Who are you?" There it is. Who are you?
"I am Alfonz. And you have no right to take these children from their homes."
The one in blues and whites says, "We do have every right. We have a decision that needs to be made and cannot be made by us." And the one in yellows and green steps up and says, "Yes, we do."
Have they seen me yet?
Yeah, as Alfonz steps out,
Okay.
they definitely take note of the Goliath
Fair enough.
just behind the half-elf wizard.
Not very well hidden.
Good point.
The 2 male are kind of focused on Pilot, but kind of like looking back at you 2, and they say, "This is a debate amongst the courts, and a debate amongst the courts must be settled by tribunal. Hence, the tribunal." This is the one in like light colors, gestures at the 3 children sitting on the stumps.
So I say, to decide, you chose children to overlook your tribunal, and I'm kind of like stepping forward kind of in a menacing way. Rather
This is
than
a-
reaching out to the mayor, someone of authority, and I'm kind of like filling with anger. You take children from their homes. You require 3 on your tribunal. Here are 3. These children are not your property.
As you get angry, both male Fae react. They reach for weapons, and they like both step up as if to protect the other two effeminate ones. And you hear one say, "Listen here," and the other one goes, "Yeah, you half blood." And the 2 women both at the same time reach back and like calm the males.
We're not in initiative yet, right?
No, we're not in initiative.
Okay.
To that comment, I can. Oh well, actually, sorry. You go ahead first, Theo.
I would like to pull out my longbow and shoot whoever just threw a slur at Alfonz.
Can I cast a reaction shield? Because I imagine it has to go past me.
You want to intercede?
Yeah.
I will allow it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to decide how to handle it. Because we could roll dice. But it does seem that it's a little PvP. I want to allow shield to just work. And I want to make that decision as DM. Because technically you're using it in a unique way.
Fair enough.
Because generally you would use shield to block something coming at yourself, but you're using it. You're just imposing it,
right?
Which would, in my opinion, I think that is an okay way to use this. In this instance, outside of combat, and it will provide immediate cover. So as Ilikhal draws bow and shoots, you hold up your hand and you speak a word, and an invisible wall of force intercedes between the arrow and the sprite and the pixie too. But a human-sized wall of force imposes, and the arrow bounces off and falls.
Stay your weapon.
Alfonz.
Wait. He takes another few steps forward. Now in Sylvan, he speaks to them. And that goes for you as well. No weapons. Now is not the time.
Wait, do they speak common too?
Yeah, what they were speaking to him was common.
Okay.
The 2 hotheads who were trying to fight each other, then making aggression towards Alfonz, the 2 females have also interceded. And they both look back and they look at each other. And then like they kind of like give each other the like, is this fine with you? Is this fine with you? And they both look and they both at the same time go, fine. There are 3 of you. You may sit and judge who is right and who is wrong. And they both say fine together. One says that. The other one goes, and your decision will be binding. And that is fine with us. And then they look back and each of them say to the other and says, and we will listen, won't we, cousin? They say that to each individual male. And the 2 males, one of them goes, fine. The one goes, okay. And they both relax their aggression stances. They let they look like little swords fall to their hips perfectly like fine. And they allow you to enter the clearing perfectly fine.
So, I mean, I guess I approach and I kind of look back at Ilikhal and I look at Ronald.
I am extremely pissed off, but I follow him and I put my bow away.
So are we taking the place on the stumps or what's going on right now?
They look back towards the children and say, they name them each by name, and they say, "You three are relieved of your obligation to stand as judges between the courts." While they were not restrained, they were not able to get up and leave. You see them kind of like, it looks like they unstiffen a little bit and they're able to stand up. Pilot, do you attempt to like guide them?
I do.
So they decide they come to the side. They're gonna stand by Pilot, and then the brightly colored, the more green and yellow colored, more green and yellow dressed, I should say. Feminine Fae looks back and says, "Please take your seats, judges, and we will get this underway."
I let Alfonz and Ilikhal sit first.
I let Alfonz sit first.
Alfonz, where would you like to sit? The left, the middle, or the right?
I stand in front of the middle stump.
Okay. Alfonz, you stand in front of the middle stump. The other two? Ilikhal, next.
I guess I'll take the right, but stand as well.
You stand in front of the right stump. Pilot, do you stand in front of the left?
Yes. I stand.
Yep. Reasonable. You see the green, they will each, the females will approach in the center, and the males will approach. And they say, you also, as you have now approached closely enough, you do notice these diminutive fae. They look like almost like fireflies. That's about how big they are, but they are indeed humanoid fae. They don't appear to speak at all. They appear to do. There's a lot of like hand signals that happen, but they're quite small, and they just kind of seem to be following orders from the slightly larger ones. The two, as you what would this be? Make. I need from each of you an Arcana check or Nature check, I guess. Technically. Whichever
16.
is higher.
Both are negative.
Is that Arcana or is that Nature?
Both. They're both the same.
Decide which one.
I'll do nature.
Okay.
I've got an 11 plus a 4, so 15.
Arcana, I'm assuming, Mr.
Yeah.
Wizard?
Mhm.
Okay. Pilot?
11 on nature.
11 on Nature. Pilot, you are just aware that they are fae. They are small fae. You know there are a lot of small fae, so not quite sure as to deem what species of fae. Ilikhal, you take note. You do notice that they do appear to be seasonally dressed. One grouping, one pair more for winter and one for summer. You are aware that there are many different types of fae as well. The two feminine fae appear to be pixies, and the two male fae appear to be sprites. And Alfonz, you note, you're aware of fae. You also are aware that you are in a strange world. But what you know of the fae is generally there are two courts of fae, one winter, one summer. And you are also aware that there are many different types of fae that occupy both these courts, and occasionally there are sprites of the same species that occupy either. You do also recognize that the females are pixies and the males are sprites. The diminutive fae, Ilikhal, you note that they're just occasionally what are called wild fae. They're just kind of fairies. They don't actually do much. They just kind of accompany other fae occasionally. Alfonz, you also take note of the wild fae. They're not really much trouble unless they act very collectively, and they don't really appear to be much that they could do to you. They're tiny. Like they wouldn't be as easy to squish as bugs because they're a little more intelligent, but
Would have been a really impressive shot.
The two, actually, the ones that were after you are tiny. They are they're slightly smaller than the children.
Okay.
Probably between 1 foot and 2 feet tall each.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that would have still been a very good shot. But the pixies and the sprites are of some stature. While the diminutive, the just wild fae are very small. They look at you and they go, "May we begin our arguments?"
You may.
The two males kind of allow the females to present. First, the more wintry of the two, the wintry of the females, approaches and says, "Our time has been infringed upon by the other court, by the summer court. It is not yet spring, and they have begun to take residence in our space. It is only first thaw. That is not the end of winter. Spring is still weeks away. It is not our time yet to leave. And we wish recompense. And we wish for a decision to be made. And we wish for them to leave. That is our problem. And we are very unhappy." And the sprite, the male, goes, "Yeah."
Alfonz also just kind of chuckles. I kind of look both at Ilikhal and Ronald and just feel like, can you believe this?
This is why you kidnapped 3 children? Because you can't share?
It is not the way. We do not live here at the same time. This is how it has always been, and they are here early. And the other one says, "Excuse me! It's not your turn anymore." "May I proceed?"
You may.
And she goes, "Look around. It's green. It's warm. It's spring. Winter sucks. It's summer's turn. Spring is here now, and we deserve to be here now. It's been cold too long. It's our turn. Spring is here now." Sticks are coming out. Nobody likes snow anyway.
I very much like snow.
Now, I've heard both arguments.
There's right, he's making rude gestures. He's doing yeah. He goes, "Yeah, that." And then the two women are kind of standing standoffish. Their hands on hips, and they're glaring each other down. And the two boys, the male, are there's a series of rude gestures being exchanged, some of which you guys don't know the meaning of, but it's fairly creative, and some of them you do know the meaning of, and it's fairly uncreative. But that appears to be the issue at hand, is that potentially the spring fae or the summer fae have moved in early, and the winter fae are upset, and there has been a dispute, and disputes between the courts are not allowed to be, are settled in 2 ways. And apparently they have decided on tribunal.
So I've heard both of the arguments. Times are changing, and if not even the fae know whether it is winter or spring, I might suggest on this day, the first of thaw, you make your way into Melt. They have a tradition where they split, I believe it was a rib bone. If you can't decide when the seasons change, I say you let the town decide, and you go along with their little fairy story, and then you decide when it is spring and when it is winter. As ridiculous as it sounds, if you can't keep track, it might as well be left to the citizens of Melt.
I suggest they follow the widely accepted calendar of the seasons, which states that thaw is in winter.
And so it falls to the third judge, Pilot. What say you?
Do you have a contract?
Contract law time, baby.
They look
They
at
have a
you.
timeshare.
The contract. Like writing something down is like beyond any argument. They're no. It's just the way it is. They look at you and they kind of like the two winter ones are like, yes, Ilikhal, that's our man, that's our guy. All four of them react to Alfonz like, what a weird thing to say. But sure, like you essentially suggested flipping a coin. Ilikhal made a decision. The Ilikhal has two new fans and two not so good fans. And then Pilot, they're just like, what? Pilot, they also appear to note your appearance and note that you are not human, and they don't care. They've seen weird stuff. They're Fae.
Okay.
They are fully aware of you not being human.
And they're chill with it.
Yeah, they're like,
Nice.
yeah, just another one of them things.
If you guys have a contract, this can be easily decided,
Settled. And they but like the winter like sprite, the male, like can't. And then the both the pixies, the women, go, we can't read. And then they like chin up.
That's the end of the sentence.
But a decision must be made. And they're like looking at you. And they look as if the other two judges have spoken. And they are looking for, that is why there is a tribunal, is one is spoken in says it is winter, that is the way it is. One has spoken and said we can flip a coin. And the other one, like, if you choose summer, then it's going to be really confusing. If you're like, no, it's summer, decided. It might come to something else. But you can side with either of the other two judges, and that will ultimately be the decision made.
We need to bring the children back to the city.
Oh,
so
children. They each kind of like, you were the one that approached them. They kind of walk up to you, Edwin first, and he like pulls on your cloak, and he pulls on your cloak, and he says, I really like you.
Little metallic heart melts a little.
The other two that had been bickering the whole time, you can tell that they're both undecided. You can tell that Amanda says, she goes, I like snow, and I like snowmen, and I like how nice my mom is around the holidays and around wintertide, and I like wintertide presents.
I nod at her.
And Faust says, well, I like summer, and I like how nice the weather is and how the wagon doesn't fall in wagon holes and wagon ruts in the summer. And I like all the baby animals. And I like the bird song. and I like to perform outside when it is warm and we can see the stars and sleep under the stars. And they're kind of arguing with one another. And little Edwin, the youngest of the three, looks up at Pow and says, I think you can make a good decision either way. I like all the seasons. They're all very good for their own reasons.
I love Edwin.
I like presents, and the bees are nice in the spring too, and that makes Mom happy. But wintertide presents are also good, and that makes Mom happy too. And you can tell when he says Mom and Mom, he's talking about two different women. Honey is nice in the spring.
Ronald, please, just make
But
a
also-
decision and we can leave.
I say let's do the wishbone.
Okay. Wishbone it is.
And then I pick up Edwin.
He lets you. He's like, this is nice. This was discussed. It is usually done. It is somewhat of a wishbone of a sheep.
Mm.
The Fae go, fine. And you hear, woof. And behind you, from the den, a wolf comes like backing out, dragging a sheep's carcass. And it like brings it over and it sets it down. And the two sprites go to work and they start butchering and they pull out the sheep wishbone.
That's impressive. They're tiny.
And the more brightly dressed pixie claps again, and the wolf picks up the rest of the carcass and drags it back to the den. As you were aware of it, you hear a few from the den. And the two pixies each take a side of the wishbone.
And I stop them right there, and I say, as much as I commend your eagerness to solve this issue, this is not the way. This must be done in Melt, by the people of Melt. You are but sprites in the forest.
Alfonz.
No, hear me out. You are but people of the forest. You have some say over this wild wood. If you want this issue adjourned, you are to make a pilgrimage to Melt yearly. Offer your acceptance, or your acceptance and your protection over the people of Melt for the year. You watch the people split the rib. And then and only then can you decide when the seasons change. Not in haste.
What outcome is which if they don't pull it? Explain, Alfonz.
They
Ilikhal is very annoyed.
Frustrated by the
They will be splitting the wishbone tonight. On this day, the first day of thaw, every year. This is a constant. What I am proposing is the Fae make their presence known to the town. Swear to them that an issue like this will never happen again because they have the Fae's protection. And then they decide who takes residence over these woods.
I am asking, how do they decide? How does the wishbone help if they're not pulling it? The wishbone breaks. What happens?
I didn't get that far.
Generally, there are two individuals who will dress up. One in winter clothing, winter-esque clothing, winter representative clothing, and one who dresses up in summer representative clothing. And then they will split the wishbone in town. And that is generally whoever ends up with the correct half is generally how that is done. Alfonz, you are not aware of it. Exactly. That's why you're confused.
Yeah, now all I'm saying is they just go and witness this event, and then we avoid this in the future.
Human thing. This time the male sprite in the summer dress kind of The summer Fae goes. The summer pixie says, "We can't go into town," and that's it. She says, "We can't. Not allowed. Not for any period of time."
Ilikhal is ready to crush something.
Now, I kind of sense that, and I just kind of like gesture at
Kind
him. I'm
of-
like, your wolves went into town on your orders.
Yes.
I call a bluff.
Nope.
You're lying to me, Faye.
Make an insight check. Or a knowledge arcana check.
A what check? Sorry.
Knowledge arcana. It's based off of intelligence.
That is a 13 plus a 4. 17.
17. Pretty good. Fun fact. Fae can't lie.
Oh.
They can be wrong.
They can be wrong. So you could make an insight check. And they kind of look and they say, like, while you're doing it, they go, well, they can pull then. They're human. And they pointed at the two children that are arguing, Ronald obviously holding Edwin. The other two said, they'll pull. They can pull. They're human. That will work. Or you can, or they can, or we can.
So
And they're a little frustrated. They appear they're like, this tribunal would have been over if the children had gotten to decide. This would have been easy.
If someone does not decide soon, I will tear the wishbone myself. And then neither of you will win.
Just
what I'm trying to do is set up safe passage for these children and the people of Melt, Ilikhal. This is not a one-time thing. They control the wolves of these woods, who have been an issue to the Rangers for years. What I'm trying to do is decide not only
they've been an issue this year.
They've been growing as an issue, paramounting or accumulating to this event this year. What I'm trying to do is make sure that this does not occur again, Ilikhal.
This also would not have occurred again if you would let me kill them.
And give it to the children.
okay.
Yeah, I just want you to be doing that sneakily.
I just take it and give it to the children.
Pilot is getting me here. Pilot is really like, no, we're just gonna take this. We're just gonna give this to the kids. The others are arguing. Faust stands in place of the Summer Fae, and Amanda stands in place of the Winter Fae. And you do note that they do appear to be dressed similarly to those Fae. Faust was preparing for the play of the Two Queens, and the Argent family's colors do appear to be more winter-esque. And the two children pull the wishbone.
While Alfonz and Ilikhal are still arguing.
The two children each grasp the side of the wishbone. They actually, as they do, they stand in front of you two. You two are bickering. Faust is on your left on the side of the spring, the Summer Fae. Amanda on the side of the winter. And I pull. Small snap. Sheep bone. Fairly large snap. And Amanda holds the larger piece.
See,
As you two bicker, the Fae are also paying attention to you two bickering. And the snap
Nice.
of the
Nice.
wishbone breaks the argument. And you look down and you see that Amanda's holding the larger of the two.
That settles it.
And Pilot, so eloquently spoken, that settles it. And as you look, the Summer Fae and the Winter Fae smile, and they look very happy. And the Summer Fae collect their things, and they leave the glade. And the Winter Fae look at you, and they look at the children, and they say, "Thank you very much for your decision on this matter. As is custom, please accept this payment on behalf of the Winter Court. And the pixie, she pulls out. It appears to be like a small icicle. It is like a wand, but it appears to be made entirely of ice. And she flourishes it and she points it at the ground in front of you two, and materializing on the ground is a small brooch in the shape of a snowflake. It appears to be made of ice, but it's almost like crystal clear ice. And she says, "We thank you for this." And she says, "Thank you for standing on our behalf, Amanda." And she looks at Faust and she says, "Thank you for sitting on the tribunal," to Faust. And she looks at Edwin and she goes, "Edwin." And she looks at you three, and she looks at Ilikhal and she goes, "Thank you, Sir Goliath. Sir Half-Elf. Sir Pilot. It is good to see you again." And
Right?
the
Insight.
guy steps up and he goes, "Yes." And they both, in a gust of wind and breeze, are taken away. And snow begins to fall in the glade, as winter is not yet